Innovators are the thinkers about the future. They continuously seek ways to improve technology, thus impacting on the global society. We are proud that research and inventions of the new millennium that cross all aspects of life, from the ground to the stars, are also credited to people of West Indian heritage. Meet 5 individuals whose love of the sciences and mathematics has impacted on the way things look, feel, and sound. These are our people. The mind of Dr. Andrade Dominic Anthony Peter Cropper can be found in many young children who take electronic appliances apart to see for themselves how things work. Sound familiar?
The innovation bug started from young, the toys I was given, the creativity, the Lego sets. Believe it or not, that is a big form of innovation as a young child. Building a little car or a helicopter, or just a little wheel. How did the circle and a square go together? So those are the things that motivated me to start.
Educated at the prestigious Fatima College in Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Cropper's love of mathematics and physics led him to pursue a career in electrical engineering.
The areas that I'm involved in right now are wide bandgap semiconductor materials. That pertains to gallium nitride, silicon carbide, and diamond, to name a few of the materials I've been working on for the last 10 years or so, of which diamond is the most exciting. People think of diamonds, they think of these lovely rocks that's on their fingers. Well, that's nature's natural way of producing diamond. My colleague and I have come up with a new technique to produce diamond by synthesizing it in the lab. And if you can dope it to make it an electron or a hole carrier, then you can make a semiconductor. And once you have a semiconductor, the whole world opens up.
Your next TV, computer monitor, or cell phone purchase may include a flat panel display technology. This groundbreaking technology is self-illuminating, which means that your electronic device will no longer use a bulky backlight. This enables your TV or computer monitor to be made 3 millimeters thick. That is thinner than a copybook, making it more portable than most existing units. This technology uses a thin film touchscreen made from thin layers of diamond called organic light-emitting diode, OLED.
You can make chips, and you can put the chips into things like your DVDs and your video cameras and your television. So this whole area that we're working in allows us to, let's say, we call it disruptive technology. Change the way we see things and the way we use things today.
A star swimmer in his youth, Dr. Cropper is an athlete who chose diamond over gold. In his spare time, he helps nurture the love of science in young minds both in the United States and his homeland, Trinidad and Tobago.
Always support and encourage young people starting from the early age of maybe 2 children to be curious and listen to their questions and try your best to answer, and answer honestly. Another thing that's really important to young scientists and engineers and innovators is the ability to see outside the box, to look at things from a whole new perspective. Step back and take a 360-degree look at the problem you're trying to solve. One of the ways that I have found to really do this is by embracing other things, such as, for example, the arts. Scientists, engineers, and artists are very similar. An artist creates something new, performs something, brings new things, new experiences to life. A scientist does the same thing, brings a new technology forward, creates something new. So there's a lot of synergy between arts and science.
In the 60s, while the inquisitive mind of Andrade Cropper was in its initial developmental stages, 2 teenagers in Barbados researched, built and launched their very own rocket. The rocket contained homemade rocket fuel and a rodent for an astronaut. Besides his part in building this rocket, Dr. Cardell Ward's activities outside the classroom included chemical reactive explosions in his home lab.
It was a chemistry and physics lab that we built in my father's abandoned carpenter shop. We just basically put his tools under the tables and benches, and we took the shelves and reorganized them and put chemicals on the shelf. Every bottle was labeled. And we had a lot of safety rules. We weren't doing stupid things that, would cause us to get into trouble. I always really wanted to know how things work. And so I was famous for taking apart things and trying to put them back together.
A brilliant student, Dr. Cardell Ward entered secondary school at the age of 9. In 1965, he left Barbados to attend Stevens Institute of Technology in the United States, followed by Yale University, where he acquired both his master's degree and PhD. Currently, he is a physics professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
I teach courses in electronics, circuits, optics, materials, optical materials, electronic materials, signal processing.
Holder of over 12 patents, Dr. Ward specializes in optoelectronics, a branch of electronics that deals with electronic devices and systems for emitting, modulating, and transmitting light.
My current research area is in the area of optical computing, where we're trying to build a coprocessor for a computer, which will do brain-like processing. In other words, the brain is good at interpolation, extrapolation, and guessing. The electronic computers don't know how to guess very well. And lots of times you don't need an exact answer, you need an intelligent guess to proceed. So my work involves studies of how the brain works, although we don't really understand how it works, but we have simple models, and trying to copy how the brain works into electronic and optical hardware.
This internationally renowned innovator is one of the world's leading experts on materials, devices, and systems for optical information processing.
Oftentimes, especially for military acquisition, one wants to determine man-made objects from natural objects. So as discriminants, we would use things like shape, how light gets scattered from these objects. When light scatters off a smooth surface, it tends to scatter in a polarized fashion, where we put polarizers on during the day to cut glare down. So we use these properties of light scattered from the objects, primarily the polarization properties and the shape properties, to distinguish between man-made objects and natural objects.
Among his current work is a project in collaboration with NASA and his very own unique display glasses. Dr. Cardell Ward is also involved in fostering an interest in science and technology among the young. He is involved in community and educational projects both in the United States and his native Barbados, where he also functions as an advisor to the Ministry of Education.
To be a scientist, you got to communicate at some point your results to other people. If you're in a job, you've got to be able to talk to your bosses. You've got to explain what you did to your boss. You've got to communicate with your customers. And so science does not exist in a vacuum. So the combination of being good in communication skills, whether it's writing or oral expression, along with the fundamentals of math, can take you a long way.
Another West Indian whose work has been associated with NASA is Jamaican Robert Radford, an aeronautical engineer with over 24 years' experience in the field. His company, Genesis Engineering Solutions, develops systems for the testing and certification of spaceflight hardware and equipment.
One of the key achievements, I think, in my career, I would say, is working on the team that went on to the first repair the Hubble Space Telescope mission. That was exciting because it was a worldwide event. It was, I think, the pathfinder for building of the International Space Station. And why that was, here we had an orbiting body that we sent up a telescope that in all respect was not able to function and read the stars or read the galaxy in 20/20 vision. And so what NASA did, they put together a team of scientists, a team of engineers like myself that would allow us to go out in space and perform surgery on a large operating device. And so we were able to dock. That was the first time we were able to dock with a rotating body. Picture this: if you're traveling at 17,500 miles per second, and another body is traveling as fast, and we now grapple with it, attached to it, and we were in the midst of that doing spacewalk up to 9 hours per day, changing out those instruments. I think was one of the great achievements, and it went out with a success because the Hubble Space Telescope is still functioning today with a 20/20 vision because of that activity that we did.
Who is Robert Radford? His knack for innovation came as a child growing up in Kingston, Jamaica.
one of the things that we had to do growing up is to be very innovative in some of the toys that I had to do, and that's typical of us that grew up in the 60s, where back in Jamaica, if you want to come up with a toy, you had to use some of the remains from a cotton reel after the threads are all off to build your trucks and toys. And I think that played a key role in my intuition and love for the sciences, because I had to use those sets of intuitive, innovative ways to make toys so we could entertain ourselves. That then later led me to building some of the most sophisticated systems that fly for NASA today.
Among his inventions are the development of a dry laser cleaning tool for flat panel displays, the co-invention of the world's first portable real-time 3D non-destructive examination system, and spacecraft support systems for the Upper Atmosphere Research Satellite. This technology was reused by NASA to support key research for the Hubble Space Telescope mission in 1997. He participated on a team to service all Hubble Space Service missions since 1993. He is currently the acting instrument manager at NASA, developing a new instrument to replace the Hubble Space Telescope.
I'm on a team here at NASA that's building the first set of what is known as microshutters, which is known as the nanotechnology. And nanotechnology is taking devices and miniaturizing them so you really can't see them with the naked eye. You can only see them under a microscope. But they're able to produce information, they're able to operate in such a way just as effective as a large device. So the nanotechnology is not only going to have a key role in electronic devices, but also in biomedical industry, where we can now put devices, sometimes implant them in your body, pumps, pacemakers, and devices like that will have a tremendous effect in the medical arena.
Robert Radford is the recipient of many awards, including 4 NASA Achievement Awards and an award in 2002 from the Institute of Caribbean Studies for excellence in science and technology.
I think the advice I'd give to youngsters is definitely to focus on math, physics, chemistry, biology, and definitely the arts too, so you have a balance. Those are important, and strangely enough, they're not as difficult as the I would refer to as the non-traditional sciences. And the reason for that is once you understand the equations that involve in physics, once you understand the rules in mathematics, they never change. They're universal. And so if you're looking for, I would say, a career that spans all boundaries, then the sciences are one that does that.
The plastic wrap protecting your food probably contains a catalyst known as metallocenes that enables the plastic to be durable, heat-proof, tear-resistant, and transparent. This technology can also be found in golf balls, automotive parts, medical IV bags, and bags for storage of produce. It's hard to believe that the person responsible for this technology and who holds over 49 patents once failed his first chemistry examination and could not understand mathematics. Dr. John Ewan is another native of Kingston, Jamaica, whose work is recognized globally.
I started doing some work with a class of catalysts called metallocenes, which proved to be very successful at making polyethylene and polypropylene plastics.
Dr. John Ewan is a catalyst chemist. He developed a love for chemistry while studying at the University of the West Indies in Mona, Jamaica, under the mentorship of Professor Gerald Layler. After graduating from Tulane University in New Orleans with a doctorate, Dr. Ewan went on to work at Exxon Mobil Chemical Company. He later moved on to Fina Oil and Chemical Company, where he developed the Ewan symmetry rules.
My primary interest was my work, and I spent a lot of time developing these catalysts. At first, there was a lot of resistance to it because people thought they weren't practical. And me and my co-workers, for a long time, we did the work at night and on the weekends as a hobby. Finally, after going on the lecture circuit and teaching people what we could do with these catalysts, other corporations became interested and started proposing joint ventures, and the technology took off from there and grew to its present state. So not only are we using catalysts that have single sites and therefore make a pure polymer with better properties, we're now making new materials that couldn't be made before.
For his revolutionary work with plastics, Dr. Ewan was honored by the United States government in 2002. He received America's highest award for innovation and invention, the National Medal of Technology from U.S. President George W. Bush. Dr. Ewan's current project is a new group of catalysts known as heterocenes.
Applications are many. Right now, with polyethylene, probably the most popular thing is food packaging. Like you mentioned, there's salad in a bag because the oxygen doesn't permeate it that fast, so you don't need to refrigerate the salad anymore. You can just keep it on the shelf and it stays fresh. Meat packaging, the plastics are very clear and have a very high tear strength, and so they can use thinner and thinner film, so they don't have to use as much material to package, and it just looks better because it's so much clearer. The work I did in polyethylene turned out to be very valuable, and the work in polypropylene is now becoming very valuable, and who knows, I may come up with something else that's even better.
From the Spice Isle Grenada comes another innovator with over 20 patents, whose research work lies within the polymer group. Dr. Kenrick Lewis's work involves the broad class of polymers known as polyurethane. His research led to a mathematical model that aids in the determination of the ideal cell size of polyurethane foam. Car seats, couches and cushions made from this foam provide ideal comfort levels. He is also known internationally for his contribution to the advancement of knowledge on the fundamental chemistry and the catalyst reaction of silicones, synthetic polymers.
And silicones are used broadly. Most people associate silicones with breast implants, but that represents a very, very minor application of silicones. Silicones are present in medicines that we take, in the personal care products, the lipsticks, the shampoos, in polishes and hair creams, and the materials that are used to treat polyester so that it feels like silk, in electronics, in so many areas in satisfying basic human needs.
His interest in science began as a child growing up in Gove. He attended the Grenada Boys Secondary School, a school with which he maintained strong ties. He is the public relations officer of the school's association in New York. Dr. Lewis has published several technical papers and also co-edited a book on silicone chemistry. For his work, he was named a key contributor when his company won the prestigious Kirkpatrick Award for Chemical Process Innovation in 1999. In giving back to his homeland Grenada, Dr. Lewis adopted the Dr. Aloysius Scholarship Fund of the St. John's Anglican Primary School, which he attended as a young boy. This fund annually grants the top SEA student with financial support for secondary education.
I would say to the students in the Caribbean who want to pursue a career in science, that first of all, you begin with this tremendous outdoor laboratory that we have. The sea, the plants, the entire ecosphere.